strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal? If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in the
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis program. I'd love that. Sounds like
old. I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then
that would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Ryder. Thanks to those joining us live and those that have joined us on the archive. Make sure you hit the like button if you're listening to the archive and all that good stuff. We have quite a show for you today. So much to talk about. To be joined, of course, by Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter right here. Check out a show every Sunday here on this channel. And next week, check out the Roundtable on my channel, D-Style Boxing, on Monday. Ring IQ in the building. How's it going? Good to have you back. We have Calix as well. Catch our show on Wednesdays, 8 CP on my channel. And, of course, Base the Kid, the hardcore, all caps, casual. All right? So let's go ahead and get this one started. Obviously, this morning for us, prime time in Japan, Naoya Inoue, Monster Inoue, gets knocked down, I believe, for the first time in his career. If I'm wrong about that, somebody could correct me. And but he gets back up and he proceeds to basically dominate the rest of the fight. And he punished, he mocked, embarrassed, and almost. I mean, he punished Neri in that ring. That's the sport we watch, and we're not watching tennis. It is what it is. Beeb, what you think of this performance? And what do you think is next? Is Sam Goodman the guy you're looking at, like to compete? What are you looking at here?
Well, Ring made a good point because he's going to have to continue to move up to challenge himself because at 122 he's going to run out of opponents pretty quick, right? He's undisputed, and the talent gap is just so great. And, you know, he got knocked down today, and, like, that was the highlight of the fight. Oh, Inoue got knocked down. Like, you know, he showed that he has a bit of humanity to him, but we saw what happened after that. So, yeah, Inoue just continues to get better and better. And little things that I see that he's been improved on or things that he hasn't shown early in his career, like he's really become more of a versatile fighter in the fact that early in his career, a lot of the offense was coming from range. Now he's getting close to guys and he's shortening up shots, and you know, he's changing levels. He's throwing feints on his way in, and as he's progressed in his career, it's almost like he's added wrinkles, or maybe he had those wrinkles and didn't show them. But whatever the case may be, I'm just seeing different things from him. And every fight, I'm impressed and I'm entertained, and I love watching the guy. And I have to say, he's one of the smaller weight guys that's actually gotten me more interested in the lower weight divisions, because sometimes I tend to lose interest in the lower weight divisions, and maybe I shouldn't, but I do. And, you know, there's a guy every now and then that comes along that, you know, gets my attention back to the little guys, and he definitely has done that. So I'm happy to watch him, and I'll continue watching him, and I look forward to seeing him go on to do bigger and better things.
Ring, what you think of his performance, and what do you think's next for him?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind to see him stay there, because it seems that what a lot of people want is to run him into the ground, and they don't treat other fighters that way. Gervonta Davis has been at 135 since 2019. Nobody's asking him to go fight at 140, go fight at 147. He knew he's been at 122, a grand total of what, 3 fights? where a Gervonta Davis gets to sit at 135 for what, 4 years, 4.5, going on 5. And it's this thing that I mostly see in the American fan base, that they want to run a fighter into the ground, where I say, no, stay there, fight the Australian kid after that, fight MJ Akhmadaliev. Why not? Coast a little bit. Why not? You're already doing more than the rest of these guys, and you're younger than a lot of them. There's no need to do that. As far as the performance, I think most educated boxing fans knew that, yeah, he knew he's likely to win the fight, but Nery is a threat. This guy can punch. He does hit hard. He does take chances. And even if he knew he is the favorite to win, it's a boxing match. Stuff is going to get in. Stuff is going to happen. So I actually enjoyed the knockdown. Just for entertainment purposes, I'm kind of glad that happened, because that was a big jolt. That really added to the drama of the whole thing. It wasn't like the Paul Butler fight. It wasn't like the Tapales fight. It was like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? And overall, the card was great, too. Better than some of the cards the Top Rank is putting on here. Inoue's brother, Takuma, the fight with Maloney, and that new guy, Takai. The whole thing, I enjoyed the whole thing, top to bottom. And as far as Inoue's performance, maybe it's just the way I look at boxing, that, well, I don't actually think anybody's perfect or invincible. So when things happen, it's like, yeah, that's going to happen, dog. If you're fighting more often than other people and it's against good competition, things are going to happen. I've been saying that since AJ Ruiz, when people said, oh, Ruiz is just some fat guy. No, he's not. This guy can fight. So he goes in there and he looks human, because he is human, dog. He is human. Yeah, he's pound for pound. He's great, but he's human, dog. Well, this is not a cartoon. This is not a video game. Nery didn't go all the way there to lose. He thought he could win. He did his best. But yeah, overall, great fight. I loved it. I fucking loved the whole thing.
Calix, how'd you see it? What do you want next from Inoue here?
Inoue is not only must-see TV, a guy you wake up at 6:30 Central for. He's one of those guys that you watch his fight multiple times in the same day, like the replay back. I've watched his fight 3 times already. I love watching this dude fight. The word that comes to mind to me is sadistic. I've said this about Bud. Inoue and Bud have both separated themselves from the pack. Not only that they're special pound for pound, but they both have the same temperament. They like to fight. They like to fight. And they fight with a higher degree of difficulty than a lot of these Huggy Bear American fighters, in that they keep their hands free and they're daring you to hit them. They're daring you to do it. I've said this about Bud and I've said this about Inoue more recently, that they're the dudes who show up at the club. They go to the most heavily trafficked hallway in the club. They stick their white G-Nikes out and dare someone to step on it. They love to fight. And when Neri knocked Inoue down, I said, oh, this is bad for Neri. This is really bad. And you saw it right away, because towards the end of the first round, Inoue smiling. He goes back down. He sits on his stool. He smiles. And he gets in sadistic mode. And what happens? Neri throws 20 punches in the second round. That's extremely low for a 122-pound fighter, and more than half of them were jabs. He was scared to death in there, and Inoue starts to toy with his food. I think he could have got Neri out of there earlier. This was just another great, other than that hiccup, which happens with him and Bud, is they set traps. And this time, it caught Inoue. He got caught with that left hand. Where I disagree with Timothy Bradley is, he said he has a bad habit of keeping his right hand down when he throws his left hand. And that could be cockiness, but I think they set traps. I think him and Bud are intelligent enough to set traps for their opponents to lure them in, and then they go to work. And that's what happened again here. He got Neri out of there. Sadistic fighter. And I'll tell you this too, D-Style, and I'm sure we'll talk about this too, but I just want to put it out there. If Tim Tszyu doesn't get that cut, Japan has as many belts as America right now. Think about that. USA has 16 major belts. Japan has 14. Something's going on out there. Something's in the water, and Inoue is the face of that right now.
Man. Base. Sim to you, what you think of Inoue's performance, and what would you like to see next from him?
Yeah, in terms of what I thought about it, it was what I expected, minus the knockdown, but that made everything a lot
more intriguing. I think, as Ring said and as Character said, obviously for me it was a brilliant time to watch it. I didn't have to wake up early, didn't have to stay up late. It was lunchtime over here. So yeah, it was a perfect time. I was fully alert, taking in everything. I was just scoring it round by round. The one thing I will say though is obviously him getting knocked down was a wake-up call. He said it was like the perfect thing that could have happened to him. It woke him up. But to me, that whole first round, I feel like he was trying to fight to almost just please the fans. Like he wanted to get a first round KO. Like everything went out the window. Technique went out the window. Trying to set traps went out the window. Everything was just about throwing haymakers. Both him and Nery did that. But I feel like that played more into Nery's hands than it did his. As soon as he got back to actually boxing, you know, shooting that jab, setting the right hand up behind it, like doing the little pull counters and sort of those check left hooks as well, and you know, started really dominating Nery to the point where he's even started to showboat. And you know, I'm daring you to touch that chin. I'm daring you. Like all of that stuff is where he's in his element. When it almost like he was trying to fight off emotion in that first round, or maybe even first round jitters, because you know it's 55,000 Tokyo Dome. That ain't happened before. He knows the history of that place. Maybe all of that kind of played a factor. But as soon as he settled down, yeah, it was a masterful and beautiful thing to watch. Every knockdown was great. From round 1, round 2, round 5, round 6, lovely. Enjoyed it all. Enjoyed the undercard. In terms of what I need to finish actually watching the rest of the undercard, I didn't see all the fights on there. But in terms of what Inoue does next, he definitely needs to stay at 122 for a little bit. Just stay there, feel it out. There's no huge reason to move up to 126 just yet. He's still got other people to fight. If he wants to clean out the division, I mean, Sam Goodman is there. He came in talking spicy, drop the belt or fight me. So that's a nice fight to sort of have there. But ultimately, even though he got, he did lose I think it was a majority decision to Marlon Tapales, Jack Medaliev is still considered one of the guys in that division. If you want to go there, reign supreme, clean out the division. You've got two guys. You've got a mandatory who is credible, who everyone who knows boxing will give you props for, and you've got who is arguably like the only other top guy to finish. As soon as you do that, mission complete. Then you can do what you want afterwards. And to be honest, he could probably get all of that done by the end of the year. So there's absolutely no reason to rush to 126 right now.
And Base, and not to cut you off, D-Style, but why go to 126 when the real super fight's going to be at 122 when Junto moves up? Like, I mean, why rush up to 126? I mean, that's imagine what Cali. But imagine what the live gate for that fight in Japan's going to be.
That's why I like Cali. When Cali make a video, I watch that shit. Though.
I seen how Junto moves, Calix. Like he's gonna move.
Oh, give me a break.
Because that's the best point. Honest to God, it's like who the fuck at 126 makes for a bigger fight than Junto Nakatani, and we know that Junto is after him. We know he's after him, dog. That's why he's not staying at these weight classes very long. Not a Luis Lopez, not a nothing at 126 is bigger than Junto. So once again, I just see a Western. It's really the people in the West. Let's be honest. It's really the Americans that they want to just run him into. You have expectations for him that you don't have for your own fighters. What, you were happy with Davis versus Gamboa? Davis versus Rowley? He's been sitting in that division since 2019.
And to piggyback on that, Jules, that's the reason that the belt count, one of the reasons the belt count is what it is now, is our expectations for American fighters have lowered, and our expectations of foreign fighters have either stayed the same or gone up. And that's why you have Japanese fighters almost equaling American fighters for the amount of belts. Mexico, too. Mexico's got 12 belts. They're only 4 behind USA. So we need to get to work. We need to raise our standards.
What I will say about the Junto thing, I agree with you. That is a brilliant fight. However, Junto he can't, to me, in my personal opinion, he can't afford to skip over the work that he's got left at bantamweight. Now, I understand he may not be able to get undisputed because a lot of people are with, Mr. Ohashi and all of that. So they may not look to make all of those fights. But from every single belt is actually in Japan, there's no reason for you to at least not be able to get one unification before you look to start moving up. I would like him to try go for the undisputed run to make it more appealing. Undisputed moving up to face undisputed, brilliant. The same way as Inoue did it, but I don't want him just trying to rush up there right now. He's still got more work to do in his career. I think every belt he's won thus far has been vacant. So he needs to do something to just increase on that. We need to actually take a title from a reigning champion before you really step up there to the big dog.
I don't want America messing up that good thing they got in Japan. He knew he don't come here. The Americans don't deserve you. Fuck the fucking Americans. I don't give a shit. Fuck you. All right. This is a beautiful setup. When you think about it, we got Inoue versus Fulton the same week as Crawford versus Spence, right? This week, we got Inoue versus Nery the same week as Lomachenko versus Kambsos. So it's a beautiful little thing where you get a high-quality fight in the middle of the week. It's not a pay-per-view. You can watch it with... I love the setup. I don't want Inoue... I don't even want him... For what, bro? So we could hear Americans talking shit? Suck dick, bro. Hey, watch another sport, bro. I don't give a shit. I don't care what you think.
Screw Dodger Stadium. Screw Dodger Stadium. Stay at Tokyo Dome. Like D-Star was saying earlier. 55,000 people are out there, packed house for the first fight. Not the first fight on the televised undercard, the first fight of the whole card.
Yeah, look,
why would you come here?
I saw some Australians saying he should come to Sydney to fight Sam Goodman. Bro, just sit down, bro. Look, and of course the Americans are unbearable. We don't even support our fighters. We don't. I just don't understand, bro. But you want
y'all the only Americans that I'm talking boxing with. Other than that, I talk to British people, dog, because the British people know they shit. The Americans, it's like what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? The dude is selling 55,000 tickets. He don't need to come here to look at you.
It's not just the number, by the way, because the thing is always, what about the gate? It's a $20 million gate. That's a lot of money, bro. That's a Canelo gate
for a 122-pound fighter.
That's the gate for a welterweight fight that we waited 5 fucking years to get. Okay, he did that shit just recently, and he's going to keep doing it. And I just want to say this: I agree with Calix that Inoue could have ended this fight earlier. I just think since he was knocked down, he wanted to really prove to Inoue and to everybody that this dude don't belong in the ring with me, and that knockdown was a fluke. And I think he went a little extra. I think he went a little extra in trying to embarrass him and show he didn't belong in the ring with him, because that's what I saw in that fight. He was playing with a world-class fighter, a former world champion. He was playing with him. I haven't seen guys play with another fighter like that since Roy Jones in his prime.
Honestly, yeah, because that's what that felt like when Roy did the chicken wing and he was just playing with him. Boop, boop, boop.
Weren't the combinations the same too? Is the first knockdown was him going backwards and landing the left hook, which is, I mean, imagine landing that punch as a knockdown punch. That's the same punch that Floyd landed on Hatton. But the one that got me was the knockout punch, because, and I timed it, it was less than a second. He lands a 2-punch combination with the same hand. It's a right uppercut to the straight right. How are you generating that amount of power with that combination on a moving target?
It's almost impossible, but he's doing it. It's just the leverage he's got in it. He's just a master at it, man. And he's making up these combinations in mid, you know what I mean? He's doing it. He's doing it's like the Matrix in there and shit. He's a real Matrix, not Loma. Sorry, Loma.
But it's the other thing. It's just I'm tired of hearing. I would rather these motherfuckers not even watch it. Shut up. Just go talk about the latest purse Javante bought, bro. Go talk about that. Javante, he was just arguing with Devin. Go argue about that. Go make a video, because that's what these motherfuckers like. They like the shade room shit and the girl shit, the gossip girl shit. They ain't here for boxing. They here for the gossip girl shit. Go watch that shit, dog. That's what you into. You know it is. Y'all motherfuckers don't like boxing.
Speaking of post fights here, Canelo had a great performance against Jaime Mungia. What's next for Canelo here? And how do how do you feel about him saying things like, because he said it again, I could do I'm Mexican. I could do whatever I want, and I'm Mexican. Like he made sure he let everybody know about
Love
that.
that he said that. I love that he said that. I fucking love that.
Hey, Base, what do you think of his performance against Jaime Mungia, and how are you feeling about Canelo's approach now and how he's responding to, fighting Benavidez?
Yeah, the performance was good. The first couple rounds, I felt like he actually started a little bit slower than he usually does. He's normally quite aggressive early on and then maybe tapers off. But this one is like he tried to take his time. I felt like he was having trouble sort of trying to find his range in the first couple of rounds. But I think he was happy to not go as gung ho, just because he knew that ultimately Jaime Mungia is not gonna be on the back foot and he's gonna have to chase him. I think he kind of just assumed he would be right in front of his face the whole time. I think some of the fact that Jaime was displaying a really good jab and he was stepping into it quite well as well, and he was using some pretty decent footwork, even though it wasn't the quickest, but he's improved quite a bit under Freddie Roach over the last couple of fights. And I think that was something that Canelo was, this isn't what I was used to from me. So he was trying to adjust to that. But as soon as he got his rhythm down and understood exactly what Jaime was doing, it was pretty much an easy night's work up until maybe, I think, like the 10th and the 11th round, which I think he just had to maybe take a bit of a break. I'm a bit surprised he didn't get the stoppage, although I do partially agree with Terence Crawford that he was carrying him slightly, because there's definitely times there where he, if he had pressed the action like he's been known to do previously, that he probably could have got that stoppage, because Jaime was hurt on several occasions, both to the body on the left side and the right side, and to the head on two separate occasions. You saw his legs dip, and then Canelo just sort of hung back. So maybe I don't know if that's any misguided, sort of affinity to his countrymen or whatever. But yeah, I would have liked to see him close the show. I think he was definitely able to do so. But it was a pretty good performance. I mean, he's never had the greatest of gas tanks, but he seems to manage that a lot better these days. And it's just telling that anytime he fights someone that's a quote unquote high volume guy, he finds a way to lower their volume and lower their output. And those are just the kind of people he loves to fight. So in terms of him talking about, I'm Mexican, I mean, hey, he is. that's him telling the American market, you guys, try to use us for cannon fodder, but guess what? I'm the top dog. I'll do what I want. And I still believe that he's earned his right to do what he wants. And the only reason I say that in this instance is because if we're talking about the whole David Benavidez thing, I think he's more than willing to fight him. But as he said before, he doesn't bring anything to the table apart from another 25 pounds on the night. So as there's nothing to gain from the fight for him apart from money, well, pay me like it's a big fight. I can make the same money with anyone else I want. So if you really want this fight, like, show me that you want this fight, pay me the money, and I think he'd take it. But in terms of Benavidez, again, he didn't get in the ring after the fight, which I actually don't mind.
He called him in the ring. He called him in the ring.
But the thing is, even with that, I actually don't mind he didn't get in the ring, because right now you've got Vosdick problems. Now focus on him. Act like Canelo don't exist right now, because Vosdick should be your entire existence.
No, focus on Canelo so Vosdick will beat you and I could ejaculate on everything, bro. Focus on Canelo so Vosdick will beat you, bro.
I think you are. Anyway, I'm not going to get into predictions just yet. But yeah, no, I definitely think that. I think basically what's going to happen, as soon as that fight's over, I reckon Canelo will probably beat at that fight, because obviously Vosdick is managed by Eddie Reynoso, and he'll probably say, hey, if you want it, okay, he win his fight, I'm here. Let's, if you want fight in September, let's go. I think it will be something along those lines. And if it's not that, it will be You might have a quote unquote a tune-up Berlanga, and then like like a Crawford in the end of the year, or like March next year or something for the end of Riyadh season, because you know that's gonna take place at some point. But either way, I don't really care what he does next. If the Benavidez thing doesn't particularly happen, well, he's moved up now. He's at 175. So I don't really want to hear more about that. He didn't do everything he could do to make the fight, despite what he said at the press conference. And, you know, Canelo will continue to do what he does until someone is good enough to take the belts from him and take that power and then retire him, or whatever else he chooses to do before then. But yeah, good fight. And look forward to the next one.
So, Joe, you know, what did you think of Canelo's performance? And now that you've had some time to process it a little bit more, and what do you make of the whole, like, hey, I could fight whoever I want, I've earned this right, and I'm Mexican, and that's that. I mean, he's gonna stay firm to that.
Definitely has a lot of leverage, but the market really dictates what you're going to do. If the broadcaster accepts the fight, then you can fight the fight you want if they accept it. So it all comes down to what the broadcasters want at the end of the day. I think the David fight will happen in December. I think they'll push it back to December. I think that fight is going to be next. I don't think the Berlanga fight is next. I don't think that's going to generate the amount of money that Canelo is going to want. And I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think Berlanga's ready. And I think Canelo knows Berlanga's not ready. I thought the Mungia fight was a very good fight. It was more competitive than I thought it would be. I didn't think he was going to stop Mungia. I thought, Mungia did come out quick, but Canelo, I thought, had the mentality that it's not, when this guy it's not if this guy makes a mistake, it's when this guy makes the mistake. So he was just kind of laying back and letting him come forward and, gauging what was coming at him and then the speed at what it was coming at him. And as you could see, like, Mungia started overshooting the right hand a little bit, and he was leaning in a little bit. And that's where Canelo kind of stepped up and was throwing those short, sneaky shots up underneath, right? And the body work was really good. But, I gave Mungia 5 rounds. I mean, you can give him, 4 or 5 rounds if you want to do. Most people gave him 4 rounds. You get the knockdown in there. I thought it was a solid performance. And I also said yesterday, if people are looking at Canelo with thinking that they're going to get that Canelo of 2018, I don't think you're going to see that Canelo anymore. But this version of Canelo is still very good, right? He looked better this weekend than he did in his last 2 fights, right? So from that standpoint, he's never going to be a voluminous puncher. We know that, but he's picking and choosing in his spots, and his style transcends well into the later years of a fighter, where a lot of it is timing, it's counter punching, it's precision, and because of that approach and that style that he has, it'll serve him well, at this stage of his career. So I think he'll be fine. Like I said, the David fight is a whole different kettle of fish. But again, that fight is still a winnable fight. I like David in that fight, but you can make an argument that Canelo could win that fight because Canelo does have that power still. He can still hurt guys, and he is just such a precision-like counter puncher that he has that ability to turn a fight with one punch. We've seen him do it before. So the big question was, could he hurt Mungia? And Mungia being as big and durable as he is, how will he react to Canelo's punches? And I have to be honest, I was surprised that Mungia was not able to really deal with that power. I thought he'd be a little bit more sturdier and a little bit more resilient. But credit to him, he got knocked down and he got back up, and he continued to press on. And I thought he made a good account of himself. So I don't think people are going to look at this fight and say, I don't want to see Jaime Mungia again. So this was a win-win for both fighters. And again, it's going to help him moving forward. I think it's a learning lesson. And he can only get better from this, Mungia. He's 27 years old. He's got a lot more years ahead of him. So I don't think this is a blemish at all. I mean, it's going to be a loss on the record, but I don't think he has anything to be ashamed of. And I think Canelo, again, solid performance against a young guy, top 5. I mean, I think you could say Mungia is a legitimate top 5 super middleweight. I think that's fair. So
That's the Ryder win for sure. No doubt about that.
He's legitimate top 5.
Ring, what did you make of Canelo's performance? Are you seeing slippage? Did he look better to you than he did the last few fights? And you already answered it, but if you want to reiterate how you feel about Canelo saying he's going to do what he wants, and he's Mexican, just throwing that in there as well.
Well, as far as him saying, because that's what really got my attention, and I really liked that he said that, because I noticed in the previous era people took it upon themselves to disrespect a lot of Mexican fighters, as some of the best fighters the sport had ever seen weren't Mexican in the era before that. You see what I mean? That in the Mayweather era, a lot of Americans took it upon themselves to call every single Mexican fighter a slow-footed plotter. Well, karma just sent you the face of boxing, which just so happens to be Mexican, and there's not a fucking thing you can do about it. You can't do nothing. All you can do is hope that you win the lottery ticket. So I love that he said that. As far as his performance, I really liked it. I thought he handled Mungia's pressure better than he handled John Ryder's pressure, because if you look at his face after the John Ryder fight, he was actually more marked up in the John Ryder fight than he was in the Mungia fight. Immediately when they came to him after the fight, he didn't have a scratch on him. So that kind of tells me, oh, so maybe you were just cruising and coasting with John because you knew, I'm going to beat this guy. Whereas maybe you took Jaime a little bit more serious because you know he's bigger than you are, he's younger than you are, he's unbeaten. You know he's going to fight. You know he's going to try. I love the short counters from Canelo on the inside because these were very short punches. He didn't even load them up. They're just very short hooks, decoy jabs, just putting small punches in there to simmer him down because he keeps coming forward. And his defense is really what got my attention because, yeah, Mungia's going to Mungia. 5-punch combination, 6-punch combination, but very little in the combination is actually getting through. Very little, which is why he wasn't marked up. Now, you could argue that the best Canelo that I've ever seen, or the one that I think of when I think of prime Canelo, is Jacob's Canelo. Slipping, bobbing, rolling, weaving, countering, moving, coming forward, moving back. That's the best version of him I've ever seen. But the Canelo that I saw, and I know some people are going to disagree with me, but whatever, dog, whatever. The Canelo I saw beats Benavidez because you'll have to go back down to 168. See, Canelo's not struggling to make 168. Mungia's not struggling to make 168. You are. And if he hits you the way he hit Mungia, you're not going to take the punch the same because you're killing yourself to make 168. You've been there for like a decade. So I still favor Canelo in that fight on the premise that the weight cut will take something out of David. And you've never actually fought a puncher of any kind. Who's the biggest puncher that you ever fought? David Lemieux? What? Demetrius Andrade? Caleb? These are punchers? No, they're not. That's why they put you in the ring with those guys. Because they're not punchers. So I like Beeb. I actually believe the fight will happen. I've always believed that the fight will happen, but people like to complain. Last year, we knew David's not next. It's not David in May. We knew that. There was a lot of speculation over who it would be, but we knew it wasn't David. So people spending all day and night complaining about something they already knew, that's just them, dog. I still think that fight happens. I can't remember. It was actually Base that said it, that you have to understand that to Canelo, this is just another guy. I fought bigger names than him. I fought Mayweather. I fought Cotto. I fought Golovkin. Who the fuck is this guy? I get the money I get with or without him, which is a valid point. Canelo has no reason to, I guess, look at this as a different fight from the one that he just had. I'm going to make my money with or without you, bro. I could fight a ham sandwich and get the money I get. So show me that you really want to make it, and I'll fight your boy. If they do fight, I've got Canelo.
Okay. Calix, what did you make of Canelo's performance and his attitude right now in terms of, hey, I could do whatever I want. Lo que yo quiero. And I'm Mexican.
I had 116, 111. I thought Jaime made a good account of himself, which I was hoping that Jaime's stock would go up in a loss. That's what I was really hoping for, because he's another guy that can bring people out, and you could have good live gates with that guy, and he's entertaining, and we need action stars in this sport, and he could actually have a higher ceiling than a lot of action stars that we've had, right? So I was happy that Jaime made a good account for himself. And the game plan was obviously Canelo, as we talked about, his punch output the first 3-4 rounds is around in the 20s, right? So that's when you get him. That's when you try to rack up rounds. But in order to do that, you have to have a good chin. And that's what we were questioning. Can his chin hold up? Can he throw? We knew Canelo was going to bring the output down to the 50s, which he did from the 60s, from the upper 60s. So can his chin hold up with Canelo for 12 rounds? And can he bank early rounds and make it a competitive fight? And it was a competitive fight on the scorecards about round 9, round 10 that you saw the separation, right? So it was a good game plan, and Jaime carried it out. It's levels. Once again, it's Canelo. And Ring just says something about, Canelo's prime around the Danny Jacobs era, right? I actually think Canelo's greatest performance was, everything considered, the second Golovkin fight. I thought that was a beautiful performance by Canelo in making adjustments. I think that was his wheelhouse. But my favorite part of watching special great athletes is actually the tail end of their career. Every sport. It's like when you see a fastball pitcher who was pitching upper 90s, now all of a sudden he's pitching lower 90s. Can he add that extra pitch to stay in the league and stay competitive? Drew Brees obviously was the best quarterback in the league or close to it at some point, but he stays top 5 in the NFL. Just by finding windows and game managing. And that's where Canelo's at this point. He's now a manager. He's a decision fighter now. Beeb, I'm done taking out waivers on Canelo late stoppage. I'm not doing it anymore. He's a decision.
What did I tell you to do? What did I tell you to do? I told you to take a decision against Ryder, and I told you to take a decision here.
You did. He's a decision fighter now. That's who he is. But I like watching that because I like watching a guy. I thought Mungia clearly won the first 3 rounds. And Canelo's still in the corner, standing up, patient. And he's like, I'm going to get to this guy. Don't worry. But that's tough when you give up the first 3 rounds, B. You got to win 7 out of the next 9 if you don't get knockdowns. That's a hole to dig yourself in. But I like watching that Canelo, him trying to figure it out, him with a slower fastball, and keeping gas in the tank late and not going after it and still managing it. Obviously, I like watching dudes knock each other out, but I do enjoy this part of Canelo's career where he's trying to figure that out and fight fighters with activity especially. But another thing is when you look at Canelo, when he fought Danny Jacobs, when he fought Golovkin, he was upper body movement, right? He's slipping punches. He's not the guy that's slipping punches anymore. He's standing in the pocket. He's picking them off now. He's picking off the shots. He's not using that upper body movement and wasting that energy. So he's more of a conserving energy decision type of fighter now. And here's the thing, D-Style. He does not lose to good fighters. He doesn't. Look at his resume. His losses, Mayweather, Bivol, special fighters who were the best defensive fighters in the sport at the time Canelo fought him, with great jabs. And if you want to throw Golovkin in there the first fight, if you want to do that, same guy. Great jab. He does not lose to good fighters. And this proves it once again. That's what's special about this guy to me is he doesn't have off nights. And when people ask you, how do you still have Canelo top 5 pound for pound at this point? It's he doesn't lose to good fighters like these young Americans we're seeing. Teofimo, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia. These guys aren't going to keep momentum going. Canelo has been able to keep momentum going throughout his career. Does not lose to good fighters. And then lastly, activity. He's simply outpacing fighters who are more special than him above his list, and that's how he's staying in the conversation. But as far as who he fights next, I want to respectfully disagree. I do think Berlanga's in play, and I do think that Turki Al-Sheikh would rather make the Bud fight than the Benavidez fight, so look out for that possibly December or January and seeing Canelo do 3 quick fights.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Dave, how's it going, brother?
It's going good, homies.
Hey, talk to us. What did you think of Canelo's performance, and what do you think about his attitude? Some fans love it, some don't. You know, hey, I can fight who I want. I've earned it. He's giving out the list of names, and I'm going to do what I want. There you go.
Yeah, actually, I love the performance he put together. And by the way, Calix, I actually lost on that under 10.5 rounds wager. I lost that, but that's all right. I actually loved what he did, and I strongly agree with Calix. We're seeing that this is no longer if he's not necessarily at the tail end of his career. Let's put a big pause on that. That's what I really came away as a takeaway. This is not the tail end of Canelo's career. There's a big pause on that for now. But he is not the knockout artist he used to be. I do give a lot of credit to Canelo. We've seen in his past 2 training camps, and big shout out to Northern California, is that he's doing what these old school fighters used to do, going back to high elevation. For his last fight, he trained in Lake Tahoe, and now he's training in Truckee, which was just like 30 miles away. The John Ryder fight, if you guys remember that, was he stayed at home in Guadalajara, which could have been one of the reasons why it was not the best night for Canelo Alvarez. Let me give Jaime some credit. Jaime came and gave the best account of what Jaime Mungia is capable of at his age. It was not a passing of the guard moment, just like the Floyd Mayweather fight was. Hey, Floyd stuck around for a while after that Canelo fight. He didn't exactly pass down the torch. Canelo's still the face of boxing, especially with those Ryan Garcia news now. We could throw out the Ryan has taken over the sport. For now, it's Canelo. It's still Canelo's era for the time being. I can easily see this going on for the next 2 years, guys. The biggest gifts Canelo has received in the past 6 months is the fact that David Benavidez had his press conference. It's official. He's moving up to light heavyweight. David Morrell is moving up to light heavyweight. Those are the 2 most dangerous opponents that were even in the spectrum for Canelo Alvarez, and they're gone. I mean, if you guys remember, Chad Dawson moved up to 175, and when he finally took on the Andre Ward opportunity to come back down to 168, it ruined it.
Ward
Was
wouldn't
disastrous.
do that because he criticized Canelo for that.
But David Benavidez moving up to 175, even if there is a possibility on the horizon for that fight, David Benavidez is going to be at a complete disadvantage, melting back down to 168 when he can barely make it now. It's going to be disastrous. And I actually now I'm starting to kind of feel like Canelo Alvarez does beat David Benavidez at 168.
He does, bro. He does, bro.
Very well, right? Right? He could be barely. You guys made some great points.
I mean,
Jaime Mungia has looked very good in his career, but he never faced a puncher like Canelo. And in that round 4, we saw how everything changed when he took that big punch and he said, shit, I'm actually capable of getting hurt in the ring. And he became gun shy for the rest of the fight. So he built up some courage and he realized, all right, I'll go for broke round 11, 12, see what I can happen. I'm not happy he didn't win 5 rounds. And I'll tell you guys why, because on the last round table, I was advocating that Canelo needs Jaime to win 4 or 5 rounds, which is why so many people have come around today and say maybe he carried him in this fight and didn't knock him out completely. Had Jaime won really 5 rounds, you can make a strong argument that, hey, give Jaime an opportunity, let Jaime fight some big names at 168, and let's run it back next year or the year after that. I don't see Jaime ever beating Canelo Alvarez. I just don't. I don't have him on my rematch list.
I'm ready for Mungia versus Andre. I want to see him versus some slick American fighters with the slickness of the American fighter. Let's get it on, man. Andre's special. He's an Olympian. Let's go.
Yeah, look, a couple of things. Canelo Alvarez threw 536 punches in his fight, and he did not look tired. I think he did that to make a point. Also, I like the way he took the jab out of the holster in the middle rounds and was popping that jab. I think that punch is what turned it around. I've heard people say things like, "Oh, if it wasn't for the knockdown, who knows what would have happened?" No, I don't think he needed the knockdown. I just don't, because Mungia, I think, was going to have to deal with that jab. Those counters were going to keep coming anyway, and the fight got very one-sided at that point. I don't even think that uppercut that knocked him down. I don't even think that was the most devastating punch Mungia took all night. He got hit with bigger right hands that he looked more hurt from. He just didn't go down because he wasn't off balance, right? But it was a good performance by Canelo. There's no doubt about that. I want to see the David Benavidez fight. Are we going to get it in September? I'm doubting it now because of the timing. and he's going to be fighting Vajdik, we already know Sam's going to come out and he's going to be like, it's too soon to do the fight. We need to marinate the fight for 3 more years. Like okay, whatever you want to do, Samson. All right. But I want to switch gears here to Jaime Mungia. You guys have touched on it a little bit, right? But what's next for Jaime? I've always said the following: Jaime Mungia never has anything to lose. This guy's an action fighter. He's gonna come to fight, and he's always going to be entertaining to watch. And I do believe his stock went up in this fight. And compare his loss and the way he lost and the way he fought compared to Jermell Charlo, and how Jermell fought, and how everybody was kind of disgusted with Jermell Charlo's lack of effort in that fight. Dave, let's start with you. Jaime Mungia, after this performance, what would you like to see next? What does his future look like, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'd like to see him fight any of Canelo's former opponents and see how he does again, like he did with Ryder, Caleb Plant. Let's get some Andre in there. Maybe Jermell Charlo if he wants to move up to 168. I just feel bad for the kid because I don't see Canelo Alvarez losing any of his titles in the next 24 months. So you guys have all these great fighters at 168 that don't really have a chance to hold the title in the next 24 months. Not in my opinion, at least. So if I'm Jaime, if I'm with Golden Boy, I'm advising him to take some of the fights that are going to rise his stock even more and make him the most amount of cash while we all sit around and wait for Canelo to either move up or retire.
All right. Calix, what's next for Mungia for you?
The Caleb Plant fight's interesting, but I agree with Jules too on Boo Boo, because I think the genius move that Mungia's team made to get this fight when they did, get it so quickly moving up to 168, was they fought a similar opponent to Canelo Alvarez, which is always the move if you want the fight, right? And John Ryder, and they beat him better than Canelo did. Of course, triangle theory doesn't work. We just saw that, but that's a way to get the fight. And another thing they did was they placed it in Benavidez's hometown. And so we're going to put more butts in seats for our fight than Benavidez did in his own hometown. So I think them beating Boo Boo Andre better than Benavidez possibly can make a statement at 168. Whether he can do that or not, I don't know. But he's got all kind of options. Jaime's got all kind of options. And oh, by the way, I think he beats Maul if Maul steps up. A lot of these fights are winnable. And Billy, these are winnable fights for Mungia from what I'm seeing. So either way, Berlanga. Thank you. Nando just said Berlanga. I think we would all love to see Mungia. That's the Mexico versus Puerto Rico matchup we've been wanting to see. So do that next. That's the perfect matchup. Mungia versus Berlanga. We've been calling for that for about a year and a half. And Mungia puts Berlanga in his Timberland boots and his Terror Squad chain out the pasture finally.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Ring IQ, you're Mungia's matchmaker. Next 3 fights. How do you set it up?
I mean, if the ideal fight for Mungia would be Berlanga, because Puerto Rico versus Mexico, it's ideal. But it's just like Callie said, the world is now Jaime's oyster, and I think the boxing community doesn't realize it yet, that there are any number of fights that you could make for him that he would actually win. If you put him in there with Berlanga, yes, he wins. He knocks him out. If you put him in there with Andre, I'll say it now, I have Mungia knocking him out. Jermall too, and Jermell. Bektemir Melikuziev was knocked out by Gabe Rosado. If Gabe can knock you out, Jaime can knock you out. Shane Mosley Jr., he's another one that's there. The toughest fight, I think, would be Christian Mabili, because he's an unbeaten guy. He fights like you double parked in front of his house, and he doesn't know how to lose yet. He throws a lot of fucking punches. And we know, like we saw it in the Gongara fight, I think it was last year, that he's got a chin too. He can weather a shot. He can weather a shot. So I would say that's the toughest fight, because I don't know if it was Base that said it or Danny that said it, that the 2 guys that I think might be a bit more difficult, well, really the one guy, because I'm not high on David, but David Morrell is a dark horse. Stylistically, that could be a very bad fight for not only David Benavidez, but also Jaime Mungia. So now that those guys aren't there, it seems to me that Jaime is the heir apparent to this division. He doesn't need a belt to sell a fight. You could put Jaime in the ring with any one of those guys, and the fight will sell. And unbeknownst to the Americans, once again, who I have a great disdain for, I don't know why they have it in their heads that Jaime doesn't sell. That kid does all right. with the fights that he's had, as crazy as that sounds, like, yeah, he does all right all by himself with the guys that he's been fighting. So he doesn't need a belt to sell a fight. Don't worry about a belt. And he'll get a belt eventually. Canelo might fuck around and give him one, because you heard what he said at the press conference. He could be my heir. He likes that kid. I like that fucking kid. He doesn't talk shit, but he fights like he talks shit. It's like he doesn't talk no shit in the buildup of a fight. I've never seen Jaime say anything bad about anybody. O he says, hicimos el trabajo y vamos a hacer trabajo y vamos adentro y después hicimos el trabajo. He's just a nice kid. He's a likable kid. And he fights like he's out of his fucking mind, but you'd never know it to see him outside of the ring. So we got the guy, man. It's fucking Jaime. Shout out to him.
Shout out to Jaime Mungia, a cousin of Mario Mungia. Shout out to Mario. I saw him in the chat. Joe, what's next for this guy, man? What would you like
he's
to
got to be a nice kid. I mean, Jim Lampley had him over the house in his living room, man. He had a nice interview. I mean, you got to give him credit.
Let me cry. Did he cry?
Well, I mean, they didn't really get too emotional. They weren't watching like Cinderella and stuff on the big screen. But
well, Lampley gets emotional about anything.
Jim Lampley gets. Hey Jim, you want fries with that? Yeah, thank you. I'll take a shake too. I like the Mbili fight, and I think that's probably the only guy that would probably take the fight. I don't think Berlanga would fight Mungia next, right? Diego Pacheco, maybe. I like that fight too.
That's a good fight. I forgot about him.
That's a very. These are like not only good fights in terms of for the record, but they're good fights for entertainment value as well. The way that styles.
It's a fun division.
They're fun.
What about Ammo Williams? Ammo Williams.
No, he's at 160 and he might lose to Shiraz.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think he will lose. I think
he's going to lose, babe?
Yeah, I think he's going to lose. I think he's going to get knocked out.
Too.
He's going to get stopped.
Yeah. It's the size, man. Shiraz is a huge middleweight.
That's a fight that I would advise you guys putting the KO prop on. That's a KO. That's a KO for him. That guy's a beast. So yeah, I think if I was the matchmaker, I would do the Mbili fight, and I'll tell you why I would do the Mbili fight too. And you could argue Mbili, he throws a lot of punches, but I don't think he's a one-punch guy. I think Mungia in that type of fight could outwork Mbili, and I do think maybe Mungia does hit a tad bit harder. He's a little bit sharper with the punches up close. And I think he's a tad bit quicker too, as crazy as that may sound. I think that's a fight where Mungia could have like a highlight reel type performance, like a couple knockdowns, and I think he'd wear him down. I think Mungia would probably stop Mbili, in my opinion, as crazy as that may sound. A lot of people, what are you talking about?
It could happen. That could happen.
I think he could stop Mbili, and I think that's a type of fight where because Mbili's highly ranked too, so that would just keep Jaime like still in the mix, So. And again, I gave Jaime 5 rounds in that fight. I thought it was a good performance from him. I just thought Canelo just did more. Both guys performed well in that fight. It's just that Canelo did better. That's how it falls. That's how it happens sometimes.
Yeah,
that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah,
you can have a great performance, but another guy can just be better than you on the night.
100%. Base. Jaime Mungia, what would you personally like to see next from him?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping that no one would mention Pacheco because that was kind of a name I was thinking. But look, the Berlanga fight to me makes the most sense. He's not ready for the top level, so let's see if you can even get past this one first. However, there's names here. So Mbili is a good choice, all right, but I don't want that. Purely because I've said it numerous times, and I will stand on my square saying this. I need to see Christian Mbili versus Kevin Lily Sajo. So let them two sort it out between themselves. The two French Africans, let them two have like an absolute war of attrition. If you haven't seen Lily Sajo fight, you're in for a treat. He's like Mbili, but more savage, but a bit older.
Not as good.
Yes, he's a very that's the fight I want. So outside of that, I would say for Jaime Mungia, look, Andrade's a good opponent. Bazanian, I think would be. I mean, okay, maybe he's not a name, but at this point, that will be a good fight for him, just because it's going to be an action type fight. If you want to have a sort of a bring back fight just before you put him in with like the next guys, Stephen Butler. He knocked out Steve Rolls the start of the year or the back end of last year. He's sort of back in the scene right now. Everyone knows his name because of who
Steven's got
lost.
a glass jaw. He's got a glass jaw. That guy,
Exactly, but that's so you just reintroduce Jaime. Okay, he went 12 rounds with the king of the division. Now back out, like, super knockout, nice, quick, easy work. Get him a nice, quick run out. Then you roll him out to one of the upper level guys. The Caleb Plant, I think, would be a really good one. Although I do think he should get a Charlo fight first before he takes another L. The one thing I'll say about Caleb, he's undefeated in the streets. Like, he might not have the gas tank in the ring, but in them streets, them hands be flying. So
street beefs.
He's constantly walking around with that trucker hat, just picking with people. And he wins. I mean,
he's getting into some shit, man.
And you know why? Because he ain't got to worry about going 36 minutes. That's why he's okay for that first 5. He's good. He's good for the 5.
He loves confrontation, Bates. But D-Star, real quick, the more I think about it, the more I think Mungia versus Berlanga is realistic, because the zone is not interested in Eddie's little pet project here and these high minimums for him to have like 500 people in South Florida for his fights. Exactly. They got to cash him out with one of the Mexicans. So if it's not Canelo in September, it's going to be Mungia. The cash out fight has to happen, because this Berlanga project it's not going anywhere.
And Canelo told ESPN Knockout, he told them, they asked him about Berlanga, and he said that he felt that people don't want that fight. So I'm like, this whole idea that Canelo is going to fight him, all I know is I saw Canelo say that fans don't want that fight. So
that fight's not happening.
Yeah, Berlanga's like, I don't know if you guys saw him. He was in Vegas, right? He did an interview and he goes, yeah, look at all the fans right here. Like, as if they're there for him. Like, bro, like the fans were there. Like, what are you doing, Berlanga? Like shut up, bro.
He's disgraced because he's from New York. So when he's on screen, like, I really be feeling bad. Like, God, this fucking idiot.
Hey, you gotta represent though. You know what I mean? Like,
not him, dog. When I'm from fucking Tijuana, man. When that fight happens, I'm from fucking Tijuana, full fucking sombrero y todo, dog. Like, nah, knock this motherfucker out, please.
Brick City, stand up, man. I'll be from Brick City when he's in town.
Yeah. I don't want to see Berlanga versus Canelo. I think it's a waste of time. Whether it happens or not is out of my control. But
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't want to see that fight personally.
I think it's happening.
As far as Mungia, I think a good storyline. I don't know if you guys saw Shane Mosley's talking a lot of shit about De La Hoya recently, and it's because he's not happy with the way he's promoting his son. So maybe there's something. Maybe he'll throw Mungia in there with his son. Like, you know what I mean? And there could be some.
Well, D Styles, there's also about $30 million that has him upset, but I'll just leave that there. Oscar stole some money from Shane. It's a little bit more than it's a little bit more than that.
But Shane's really poking. He's like Ryan doesn't need. They need him. Like he's throwing stuff out there that he knows Oscar doesn't want people to be saying, and then he's being very open ended about the and Canelo. He left De La Hoya because the funny stuff. Now that could mean anything. Like you know, it leaves it to interpretation. Like, so.
Well, I don't get the sense that Canelo left because Oscar wears fishnets in the hotel room. When he said the funny stuff, I got the sense he was talking about, the dude be stealing money.
But that was a hypothesis of mine, and then there was the cocaine.
That too.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? But the utensils. I just want to know why Oscar is not threatening to sue Canelo for talking about utensils. You know what I mean? And I by the way, I keep seeing people. I like Oscar. He's owning up to all those embarrassing photos and efficiencies, which he has, but he hasn't owned up to the. I haven't seen him do any utensil jokes. I haven't seen that.
You can't sue for defamation if what they're saying is true. That's how defamation works. So I guess you really did put a spatula up there, I guess, or an ice cream scoop or
anyway,
whatever.
I say utensils, and the producers are telling me I got to move on. So, so let's keep it moving. Look,
You sure?
Quick predictions for this women's title fight. welterweight, McCaskilll, reigning champion, WBA champion. And if you want to count, now we have 5 belt. Okay, the IBO too, I guess. Lauren Price, quick predictions here. Who's going to win this fight? Let's start with Ring.
I mean, Lauren's just going to fight this. Lauren is going to fight a bigger version of the fight that Katie Taylor fought years ago when she fought Jessica McCaskilll. She's just a bigger woman. Lauren's not a knockout puncher, but she's very fast. She's very athletic. She's a very sharp puncher, just not a strong puncher. And I think this fight is going to look like the Katie Taylor fight from 4 or 5 years ago, just against a bigger person. McCaskilll is considerably slower now than she was before, so the logical pick is definitely Lauren Price on points. Easy pick.
And Ring, so for all the machistas in the chat that don't watch women's boxing, and the dudes like Calex that are anti-women's boxing, and some guys like that, can you just kind of describe the styles of both girls and the type of fight you think it's going to be?
Well, it's going to be like watching B-Vol. It's going to be like watching B-Vol with Joe Smith Jr. That's what it's going to be like. You know, by now people know enough about Jessica McCaskilll that they know that she's just a come-forward fighter. She's strong and she's tough, but in terms of form, she's just a come-forward fighter, like a Joe Smith. And Lauren Price, I can most liken her to Dimitri Bivol. Not big on power, but very big on form with speed and athleticism. So if it's going to look like any fight that you remember or that you've seen, it'll look like that one.
All right. Base the Kid. Who's going to take this one?
Yeah, Lauren Price quite easily. Again, as Ring said, she's number one. She's a much bigger girl than Jessica is. Like naturally, when she was in the amateurs, she was fighting at, I think it was 160 pounds. In the Olympics, she's used to fighting at heavier weights. She's southpaw, which Jessica doesn't really deal well with. I mean, she doesn't deal that well with orthodox fighters that have movement. So from that southpaw stance is going to be an issue. Lauren's I think she's actually got the longer reach out of the two. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know she's, as Ring said, she's faster, quicker, better on her feet, like better fundamentals, better well-schooled, well-drilled. There's very few ways I can see Jessica McCaskilll even winning a round, let alone like winning the fight. So I'm predicting it's going to be a 10-0 shutout, especially in Cardiff.
Wow.
The most she can hope for is a big Chicago punch, like if just one of them huge Chicago punches gets in. But Lauren's really fast, man. Like she's not my cup of tea. I like her girlfriend a lot better. She's more fun to watch. But Lauren, Karis is a pleasure to watch. But Lauren, to her credit, she is very fast, and she's got that working for her.
What beef? I'm going to beef next. Well, what are your thoughts, beef?
It's a family show, man. Please.
Oh no, I wasn't. Come on, dude. I'm talking about boxing. boxing.
Okay, I'm sorry, Rick. I know how. I don't want to character assassinate you, but I know how you get down sometimes.
What do you think, babe? What's your prediction here?
Yeah, there's no upset here, man. I thought McCaskilll lost to Ryan, man. I really did. And when you got a fighter who's quick and who throws the straighter, sharper shots versus someone who's going to come forward and kind of loop the big winging shots like McCaskilll does, I have a hard time seeing McCaskilll have some success in this fight. She can probably try to muck it up a little bit, but again, I mean, I don't even think that's going to work. I think because of the speed, right?
Yeah, and the size. And the size.
Yeah, she's gonna try muscle Price, but I just don't think it's gonna work. So
okay. Dave, your prediction. Who do you think is gonna win this one?
I think McCaskill's at the tail end of her career, unfortunately. And the fact that she's fighting this week just reminds me how close she was to not getting a fight at all. If you guys remember, this whole week's been mired with defamation lawsuits going back and forth, and she had some very strong statements regarding the PED scandal Alicia found herself in, and she had to take those statements back real quick, kind of about as fast as Ryan's taking back this VADA lawsuit, So shout out to Jessica for getting another big fight, but I think she comes up on the losing end this weekend.
Yeah. All right. And Calix, your quick prediction: does Lauren Price win this one?
I'm putting $5 down on the shocking upset plus 500 of Jessica McCaskilll. Beam knows I'm a sucker for those long odds.
Why don't you buy the kids a Happy Meal with that? Come on. What are you doing?
You can buy more Happy Meals if you win.
I'm gonna try to turn this $5 into 25 off of the strength of Jessica McCaskilll pulling off this upset, and I'll watch that $5 dwindle away as Lauren Price wins all 10 rounds as base.
That's an Eric Lorda. That's an Eric Lorda bet, man. That's bet he'd be proud of.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right, look, another fight here. We'll go back to Calix. On ESPN, it's going to be Lomachenko versus Kambosos. Can Kambosos find magic in a bottle once again and shock the world? What do you think here?
Nope. Like taking candy from a baby. Like taking candy from... Yeah, it's easy. It's easy. It's easy.
Easy work.
Yeah, I see people out there saying that Kambosos can possibly outwork Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko's going to pick him apart. I think this is another way to get Lomachenko a belt, which is good. He deserves. If anybody deserves that at lightweight, that guy's been through the gauntlet, and I felt he won that Haney fight. I know Base disagrees with me on that, but I felt he won that fight. I
won that fight, Base.
Base, I got your back. I got your back, Base. I split for Haney.
I think he deserves another shot. And look, this is another opportunity for Lomachenko to consolidate some belts. There's a possible Shakur fight down the line if Top Rank can work something out. I don't know, but we know Tank's not going to fight him. That much we know, unless he's on his deathbed. But I just think this fight, he's going to pick Kambosos apart. I seen like a 10-2 decision. It's going to be a decision because what we know of Lomachenko at lightweight is the same thing we knew after watching Pacquiao at welterweight for a while. Is they're decision fighters at those weight classes. They were guys who stopped guys, and obviously Lomachenko can hurt guys at 135, but he's a decision fighter there, and he's going to decision Kambosos. And I think he's going to rack up rounds. I think he wins 10 rounds in this fight.
Easy work. Okay. Dave, do you share those same sentiments, or do you think the former unified champion will pull off the upset against Teofimo Lopez in New York City? Can do it again.
Kambosos is the greatest one-hit wonder of the past 5 years, but that's exactly it. He's a one-hit wonder and finds himself in another great opportunity against a great name in Lomachenko.
Should he walk out to Ice Ice Baby?
And in his backyard, too. Lomachenko going down to Australia. Shout out to Jamel Herring, who finds himself on that card. And best selected Jamel. I find it very difficult to believe Kambosos can win 3 rounds, if 4. But it's going to be a decision when Lomachenko gets another title opportunity. And I hope to see a Shakur fight, because I think this is the last fight Shakur has with Top Rank. And if they can negotiate something, that'd be a great fight. Obviously, Tank doesn't want to fight Javon, doesn't want to fight Shakur. Seems a lot of people want to avoid him after these fights of recent memory, the kind of performances Shakur does. But
Danny,
I think that, it's going
to be Navarrete, Danny. It's going to be Navarrete. If he wins, it'll be Navarrete.
Another good fight. Yeah. 10 rounds of 2, 9 rounds of 3, Lomachenko.
What's Dave? But all right, talk it. Joe Habib. Come on, you're the upset guy. Like, don't be a chicken. Are you scared?
I got a better bet for everybody.
All right.
We're gonna take Lomachenko with the KO prop, and I'm gonna break it down why.
That's how I have it.
We're gonna take the KO prop this time, and we're gonna get really good odds on that. Because Kambosos is a mid-range guy, right? And he's not the quickest guy in the world. Loma is an in-and-out ambush guy, but I will say Loma can grind it out on the inside when he wants to. And he does like to do that against guys who are slower than him. He'll gamble more on the inside with guys who are slower than him. You saw, even in the Teo fight, when he started having that rally in the later parts of that fight, how did he get success in that fight? He got in Teo's chest and he started throwing the short shots on the inside. And I got to give him credit in the Haney fight because he showed a lot of grit in that fight too.
He won.
Unfortunately, didn't. But anyways, we have to get back to this one. He's going to come into this fight with a lot of spite, right? and he has a little bitterness still from that Haney fight, right? And he thought he won the fight. And again, if you think he won the fight, he has every right to make an argument he won that fight. If I was him, I would think I won that fight too.
Base thinks he won.
You know,
Base should think he won.
Base had one of the best scoring performances of his career when he scored that fight for Haney. I mean, a lot of my scoring techniques have been rubbing off on him. But in this fight, I just think Lomachenko is going to get in Kambosos' chest. He's going to say, you know what? I can stay here and I can get my shit off. And I don't really have to worry too much about this guy because I'm going to see this shit coming a mile away. I'm going to get up and under. I'm going to step around, but I'm not going all the way out again. I'm staying right there, and I'm going to be on this guy's ass. I'm going to step around him. I'm going to get up underneath, but I'm not going to – I don't have to go out and reset against this guy. You know why? Because I can see everything coming. I want to take a breather. Well, maybe I'll lean on him for a little bit. I'll turn him, release the clinch, step around again, step around again. When I want to take the breaks, I'll just give a little quick clinch, and that's it. I don't think you're going to see the ambush style against Kambosos. I really don't. He's going to drop him. He's going to knock him out. He's going to grind him out.
He's going to walk him down, yeah.
Body shots. He's going to pin him in the corner, and they're going to throw the towel in.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
it's plus 310. It's plus 310 on the knockout. It's plus
Base was really mad that they robbed him in the Haney fight. He called me. He's like, I can't believe they robbed Lomachenko. He called me.
I ain't even got your number. Shut up.
He called me. He talked to me for 3 hours about it.
Put $100 on the plus 310, Calix.
Whoa. It's plus 310 for a reason. He's got one stoppage in the past 5 years against Nakatani.
He's already down $5 from Ben McCaskilll.
He's gonna have 2 in the last 5 years.
He's not a. I love him.
5 years, Daddy.
I'm a Lomachenko fan. I love him, but he's not a stoppage guy at lightweight. He's just.
Hold on, Calix, you say that, but he's only had 4 fights in the last 5 years as well. So it's not like he's been fighting 2 and 3 times a year.
He stopped Nakatani.
Yeah,
the hell out of Nakatani.
Alex, they're throwing the towel in.
It kind of looks the way Inoue against the other Nakatani is going to look. It looked something like that, but it's another story.
It's one of those. Yeah, it is one of those.
But Base. Like, I mean, you know, like you imagine, like, let's say you pick Kambosos, right? Imagine how you would look if he actually pulls it off. Just think about it for a second. Can he pull this one off?
Take the knock.
I mean, you know, it's a good thing that this show's moved to a Monday, so people will actually forget what I've said by the time Basis Picks comes out on Friday. So therefore, I'm actually giving you my predictions now. So you should be thanking me. In terms of this fight, there is absolutely no way that Kambosos can win this fight. None whatsoever. I'm sorry, like if you get made to look like a clown against Maxi Hughes, like Lomachenko is gonna demolish you left, right, and center. It's not even gonna be. It's gonna be ugly to watch. It's gonna literally look levels apart. And I think the main reason for that, the speed is one thing, but Loma hits harder than a lot of these guys think he does. Like they don't realize that he might throw around the pity patties, but when that hard shot comes in, you can't brace for it because you never know which one's going to be the hard shot in the combo. So the feet, the movement, the you know, and then you're gonna get Kambosos trying to do his stupid switch hitting in the middle of a combo and get caught on the inside. It's all just going to be a problem. It's the whole thing is just going to be nasty. It's not going to be nice to look at. It's going to be good that you guys ain't have to stay up to watch it. You get
like the switcheroo?
It's going to be horrible. Like I'm telling you, he's going to get knocked down a couple times.
He's the switcheroo kangaroo from Australia.
The best fight on the card is the girl fight, man. If you really want to get into what's the best fight on that card, Mina Hughes, Shanika Johnson. That's going to be a fight. That'll be competitive. But this,
that'll be the only competitive fight. This one is going to be a glorified sacrifice over in Australia. That's how it's going to look.
Towards Kambosos.
Another thing, I rate Kambosos for his heart. I rate him for always wanting to take the tough test, but sometimes you just got to realize where your level's at, and this ain't your level.
Oh, he's got a great barber too. His fades are never choppy. He's got a great barber, Kambosos, and he's parlayed. He's parlayed that win over Lopez into a lot of paydays.
He said he's training. He's back in the dark, training again, and and styles make fights. Haney, which is a bad style for him, and you're gonna see that there was no fluke in New York. against Teofimo Lopez.
Nah, dude, he's not. The thing with this fight, just like Bay said, just like everybody said, he doesn't have the speed, the timing to keep Lomachenko out, and he doesn't have the power to get Lomachenko's respect. There's just no area of this fight, tactically or physically, where Kambosos has anything for Lomachenko. And because of what happened in the Haney fight, and because he's the away fighter going in, that he is in Australia, I do think he's going to fight with a sense of urgency to make sure y'all not going to rob me of this motherfucking shit. Like the last time, just in his own mind, I should have won and I didn't. Well, you're not going to do that shit to me again. So I actually do think he stops George. It'll be an accumulation, like a TKO stoppage. It'll be one of those. But I do think he's going to stop him.
Let me tell you guys something. George Kambosos is going to win the hearts and minds of the people after he shows all that heart, because he ain't going to win this fight.
He's going to win a hospital bill that looks like a Target.
I don't know why this dude keeps bringing people to his home country to get beat up, bro. I just don't understand it. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't get it, bro. Like,
no, for the good of boxing, though, what you hope is Loma gets past this with no cuts, and then Navarrete gets past Berinchik, and that's going to be the fight for the fall. Good Lord. Good Lord. What violence.
Oh, that's Feliz Navarrete.
Can I ask you, Callie? Can I ask you something? I think that's a banana skin for Navarrete. Do we got to rob this guy? This Ukrainian guy? Do we got to rob this guy? Because I think we have to. I think we have to rob this guy, dog. Like I seen him. He can fight. Like, I don't know about this.
That's what I'm saying. We got to pray to the boxing guys that they get past these. Lomachenko, I'm just worried about a cut. Get past without a cut, broken hand, and Navarrete's got the tougher part of the deal. He's got the tougher part of the deal by far. Berinchik, he's not one to mess around with.
My question is, like, what does like usually, even when a guy's outmatched, you could find something that they do better than the other guy, right? I don't know. What does he do better than Loma?
One
thing.
I think he talks trash. I think he talks trash better than Loma, but even then, I don't think so. Because he keeps
him on social media. He can defend himself pretty good against the trolls if we're honest.
Yeah, he doesn't go with the trolls for sure. But I mean, Loma's no troll.
He's going to take Loma to the dark room, man.
It's a dark room, to a dark place. You know what I mean? Like whatever that means, no diddy. But I will say this: in the ring, I don't see him. There's no department. Like even with Mungia and Canelo, I could say, well, Mungia is bigger than Canelo, or he's like physically bigger. Maybe he hits harder. I just don't know what the advantage is. Like, he's not faster. He doesn't hit harder.
They're hoping that he gets old overnight, and that the Kambosos can outpoint him activity. That's the only hope.
No, I think the plan has to be to catch him in between. If the Kambosos team have a plan for Lomas, maybe Loma throws 2 punches, we catch him in between 2 and 3, counter shot. Because other than that, it's just like, and it's not often people say that, but it's like, yeah, I don't see a way that you win, dog. Like just I don't see a way. Like I don't see a way. So
maybe if Loma lets the mountain hit him as hard as he can in his chest, like right before the fight,
that's a good strategy.
He goes in with a fucked up esophagus or something. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe. But look, let's get to the good stuff, right? The stuff. Ryan Garcia tested positive earlier in the week last week. What a roller coaster. Just like Oscar De La Hoya kind of stole the show and got the attention back to the Mungia Canelo fight, and then like Ryan just stole the thunder back, and it was just a crazy week. Let's start with you, Dave. What do you make of Ryan Garcia? What do you make of his defense? He's saying it's a setup, and he's going after Conte. He's going after everybody here. And all that good stuff. What's your opinion on all this?
Yo, I had some very passionate feelings last week. Right now, I'm kind of dismayed. Ryan Garcia's fan base is something else. Really, there's something else. We've seen him hanging with Donald Trump, and immediately after, he's using monikers, he's using the exact words like fake news. And it's working with this crossover audience. I don't think they really, at the end of the day, are going to care when a suspension gets handed down. If the New York State Athletic Commission does the appropriate thing, they're going to hand down a suspension, which he rightfully deserves. He's guilty until proven innocent. You're guilty. You failed not once, but twice. Intentionally came in overweight by 3 pounds. This win is tainted now. It wasn't tainted originally when he came in over 3. It was strategic. Then you got the positive doping test, and now it's tainted. In my opinion, it is tainted. And it actually, when they do come down to the hearings, I think he deserves a no contest as well. Whether they suspend him for 6 months or not at all, I think B probably feels he'll get no suspension. I think at the very least, a 6-month suspension, which is nothing because most fighters like him are only fighting twice a year. Really, we should be looking at a 1 to 2 year suspension, which would be appropriate. Lucien Boutet had, I think, a 2-year suspension. We know Amir Khan in the UK, they took that very seriously and handed him a 2-year suspension, which effectively ended his career. 1 to 2 years ain't gonna stop Ryan Garcia from coming back and probably doing shit like a big podcast or movie roles. Like he's not going away, and he will come back. We saw Luis Nery fight. He had a lifetime suspension from Japan, and all of a sudden he gets invited back because we know that they had somebody to whoop his ass. So he's coming back to boxing, whether I like it or not. It may be a very short suspension. He deserves a longer suspension, in my opinion. And this win is forever tainted. If Devin Haney, if I was in Devin Haney's shoes, I would never give this guy a rematch. Never. I would never do business with him. And I would advise fighters that want a fight with Ryan Garcia. Teofimo Lopez had before knowing about this positive doping test. Teo was out there saying, I could see myself making a fight with him now at a catch weight, 143. Now my title's on the line. I wouldn't do business with Ryan Garcia under any circumstance because he's not going to meet his end of the obligations. This kid is writing his own rules, which is kind of dangerous to the sport. Someone that can write their own rules. But again, who am I? He'll be back. His fan base isn't going anywhere. They might actually get more, more inspired to rally behind him because whatever he says goes. So that's my thoughts at the moment.
So before I go to the next person, just to give my quick thoughts on this. My issue with Ryan is that somebody's to tell Ryan to shut the fuck up. Like his team, his lawyer, dude, shut up. We're gonna say it was a contamination. So when you're over here saying you're gonna sue Vada and it was a setup, they did something in the lab, and when you use stupid arguments like that, you're kind of messing up what the plan's gonna be. And look, and I think there's good reason to believe that it probably is a tainted substance. I do believe it's very plausible. But when he comes out and he tries to martyr himself, and I think that's the reason. He may get some retaliation here from the powers that be, in my opinion. Kind of very similar to how Conor Benn did, because of the way he's acting. Like I think what he should do is shut up. Just say, hey, I know I didn't do anything. My team should look into it. Boom. Oh, it's a contamination. Okay, you move on. Everybody moves on, and that's it. Once you start saying you're going to sue Victor Conte and Snack, and even though you were a Snack
and Vada,
you were a Snack. Like you had a Snack T-shirt and everything in one of your fights, bro, at the weigh-in and everything. You worked with Victor Conte yourself, right? And you knew you signed up for VADA and you willingly did the test knowing all these facts. So when you say these things, it's stupid, right? And the reality is people are seeing everything piling up from not making weight, bragging about it. Then he tests positive. And then he says dumb things like, oh, everyone knows I don't cheat. So, and then you lie and you say, why would they let me fight if they knew I was positive? Because it takes 10 days for the test results to come out. He's not Ryan knows this, all right? But he's playing stupid. And of course, as Dave said, his stupid sycophants come out and yeah, Ryan's right. Well, what they doing? Oh, they're coming at him because it's like what happened to Andrew Tate. What they're doing to Andrew Tate. Like, what are y'all talking about, bro? I don't give a shit if Osama bin Laden founded fucking VADA. Right? What does that have to do with the test result at the fucking lab? Ryan, you probably are innocent. It probably was a fucking tainted substance. But that's why you need to shut the fuck up. Those are my thoughts.
D-Stout, I'm sorry, D-Stout, but he has strict he has strict liability, regardless of whether it was intentional or unintentional. He's responsible to be the smartest guy in the room and say, I'm going to vet the people that are in my training. I'm going to vet my strength and conditioning coaches. I'm going to make sure that I know exactly what they're providing me with. You know, his supplement list should have been handed over to VADA. He should know what's in those. The WADA website has supplements that are known tainted for Osterine. He could have looked at that. He should be looking at strength and conditioning coaches and vetting them. He's ultimately the one responsible, whether it comes out that it was a tainted supplement. He's responsible. And I thought it was very telling this weekend that Jake Paul, his very own homeboy, who looks like he's on roids himself, in that IG Live exchange, you could see that even Jake Paul doesn't believe his homeboy is innocent.
Ooh, damn. And shout out to Nando Llamas with the super chat for Nery. Thanks for the support. We appreciate it.
It's because he's not Danny. He's dirty. He's dirty. He's just dirty, bro.
Calix, talk to us. What did you make when you heard the news? What did you make of Ryan's response? What do you make of everything? This is the whole shebang.
I was actually like doing something and shout out Steve Kim. He texted it to me. I was like, of course he did. Of course he tested positive. Of course, this is a perfect cycle, right? Of course, it's Ryan Garcia we're talking about. But Dista, I don't think this is gonna have the big backfire on him that a lot of boxing purists think it will. Like, the revelation to me was 12 years ago, and that really changed my mind. When we broke that story about Eric Morales popping dirty, and they still went on. I expected them to stop the fight. They still went on with the fight. And when we dropped the story, first of all, people didn't believe our sources, but then second, they
also tweeted that it was a lie.
Yeah, it was a lie. But secondly, everybody was asking us, well, is the fight still happening? And that showed me that people don't really care unless it's their favorite fighter popping dirty. And if it is, they'll sweep it under the rug. If it's somebody they hate, they'll rub it in your face. And that's where we're at. So I think Ryan's got a big enough base that he's going to power through this. The dude dropped a diss track today, D-Style. And I just checked it. It's at 40,000 views in 4 hours. His diss track, Haney Pack, on Devin Haney.
Calix, he headlined Zouk nightclub this weekend in Las Vegas. Like, this was already planned. He was headlining his diss track. He was performing on stage as a rapper in one of the hottest nightclubs in Las Vegas.
He's powering right through this, and I'm telling you, they're gonna come up with some excuse, and he's gonna get some slap on the wrist. He's too big to fail, is what I think it is. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I just take sort of, I don't know what my viewpoint is at this point, just whatever, because we're not going to get a hold of this. We're just not. I'm not going to pretend like we are. But he dropped a diss track today. Like, everybody's paying attention to Kendrick versus Drake, and then Ryan flies off the top rope at Devin Haney and drops a diss track. So I don't know what to tell you, D-Star. I don't think this is going to have the big backlash that people are expecting. I think he's going to be fine. And as far as the technical stuff, I would defer to Beeb, because Beeb's great at getting in the weeds with this stuff. I'm just not. I've let it go over time.
And by the way, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? It takes 3 seconds to hit the like, if that. You know what I mean? It's imagine like you're in a way and the like button is Neri, right? And you can imagine it while you hit the like. You know what I mean? You could be in a way for a second. You know what I mean? Think about that. Beeb, what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, the reality of the situation is this. Sugar Sean O'Malley tested positive for Osterine, Darius Flowers, Kyler Phillips, all 3 UFC fighters, and they got a post-dated 6-month ban. So that's what's going to happen. He'll get a post-dated 6-month ban, if that. But that's the worst possible case scenario that's going to happen. So he'll be back in a very short period of time. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission is not going to overturn the decision. And again, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ring, New York. I said Nevada because that was the commission that suspended those other 3 fighters. Thank you for the correction. So the New York State Athletic Commission is not going to overturn the decision. And, a point was made, right? Chael Sonnen made a great point, right? And it's the truth, right? VADA doesn't have jurisdiction, right? And even the Conor Benn situation, he's still not suspended. Now, they won't give him a license, the BBBOC, because it's a personal thing between them, right? But technically, I did the research. He's still not suspended. They did not suspend him, right? So he could still fight, and he still did fight. So my whole problem with VADA is the system is just it's a dog and pony show. If you don't have jurisdiction, right, the commission is not going to defer to you. They're not going to sit there and say your test is better than ours. We fucked up. We're incompetent, right? So there's always going to be that little middle ground where they can save face. And what do? They just give a very insignificant suspension, right? And call it a day. And that's the thing, and here's the thing too, with the Canelo situation, you're always going to be guilty in the court of public opinion. But if today Canelo had that same amount of clenbuterol in his system with the new rules, because when people talk about, qualitative versus quantitative, all that means is this, that you could, when it's quantitative, that means if you have a specific amount in your system, you won't flag, you won't fail. If he had that same amount today in his system with the new rules, that would be a negative test. That would not be flagged as positive. So anytime I hear of someone testing positive for a nanogram, a picogram, and it's close to the fight like that, when you have these pills like clenbuterol stays in your system for almost 2 weeks, when you take, and they come in 6 milligram taps, right? Clomiphene, another 10 days. Ostarine, 2 weeks. And people, what about the microdosing? Again, you're not going to take a tablet and cut it up into pieces and you don't get any benefit from microdosing those types of substances. Where you get a benefit of microdosing is EPO, because EPO is in and out of your system in 2 days, right? So you could spread the dose in small injections, right? Same thing, testosterone cypionate, fast acting, boom, in and out 2 days, right? And you could measure the amount. You could do 100 cc's. Instead of taking 400 cc's at once, you could spread it out, whatever, in and out. And you're going to gain the benefits. You're going to get a cumulative benefit of that because it's helping with your recovery. It's helping, with building your strength over time. You have a residual cumulative effect. Drugs like clenbuterol, drugs like Ostarine, drugs like clomiphene, you don't get a benefit of microdosing those drugs, and you're not going to take them that close to an event. Whenever you're doing a cycle, you stop 10 days to 2 weeks before the event, so your hormonal balance will get back, into normalcy, right? So you go back into homeostasis. So again, people are going to say he's guilty, and that's fine. That's the court of public opinion. Canelo is going to be thought of guilty for the rest of his life. I would bet my life, 10 lifetimes if I had him, that Canelo did not knowingly take clenbuterol. Definitely from contaminated meat. I have no doubt about it. Conor Benn, I don't think he's guilty either. The Alicia Baumgartner situation, she has a legitimate beef. How are you going to collect a sample and not bring it over hold it for 10 days? That's a chain of custody issue. The lawyers are going to destroy that, which they did destroy, and she's not suspended either. So once again, if you have a good legal team and you have VADA, who has no jurisdiction, the system is just flawed. If you're not going to have a system like USADA, where they have an investigative team, they actually adjudicate, they hand down the suspensions, right? This is a dog and pony show. It's all it is. It's a very ineffective testing process. And you're going to have situations where people are going to get upset, right? VADA is going to report things a certain way. And it is what it is. Because you're not investigating the results. You're not handing down a suspension. So it's like a traffic cop handing out tickets to people, and they don't have to pay the tickets. What the fuck good is it? What are you actually doing? Except getting people upset and then having people write all these stories and these juicy stories, and it is what it is. Like, at worst, he's gonna face a post-dated 6-month suspension. The WBC is going to clear him. And that decision is not getting overturned.
Man, Mauricio's ready already, bro. Mauricio's going to come out.
It's not getting overturned. It's just, it is what it is.
Mauricio's going to give everybody a letter and say that.
Whether he can say 1,000 stupid things, but when the lawyers get a hold of it, he's going to be fine. It's just the way it is.
Ring, what's your opinion on the whole Ryan Garcia fiasco?
He's dirty. He was using. You can already see that about his character and how he behaves. That he doesn't respect the process. This is a guy who blew the weight by 3 pounds and admitted he blew the weight by 3 pounds and then gloated about it. So clearly, he feels that he is above the rules and the regulations and all those things. Do I think he was doping? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do think he was doping. The thing is, I don't think he's the only one. I think most of the sport is doping. Most, if not all of it. He's just one of the dummies that got his cycle wrong. That's all it is. As far as the VADA thing, he's implicating himself because you're the one defaming them publicly, but you're the one that hired them. You hiring them and contracting them, that covers them. So you can't then turn around and complain that they found something when, hey, you're the one that hired them to find something. So he should probably stop talking about them. He should probably stop talking about Victor Conti because you're giving them all the bullets to put into the magazine for their defamation suit against you if they so choose to pursue it. They might not. Nobody wants to be in court, but if you keep going after them, then maybe they'll go after you. I don't think much is going to happen to him per se in the eyes of those who support him, because those are not boxing fans. Those are little teenage girls that have colorful sneakers and wear book bags. Those are weirdos and skinny kids and just odd people that watch Jake Paul videos. Those are not grown-ups, like his core fan base is not us. So he'll be okay. And I, like many of you, believe that, yeah, I'll give him a slap on the wrist. They'll say, yeah, it's a year, but if you work with us, we'll give you 6 months. Bet I'll take the 6 months. But because it was the New York State Athletic Commission as opposed to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I do feel that there's a possibility that the decision gets overturned for 2 reasons. We know that New York is more stringent. Maybe they'll try to make an example out of him. And if nothing else, like I said, I just heard, don't shoot the messenger. It's just a rumor. I just heard it last week when all this was going on, that the Haneys are going to file a civil suit. I heard that. That's just what I was told. We'll see if the rumor checks out or if it doesn't. But with all those elements, the one thing that I could see coming out of it, because of where the fight took place, the commission that was overseeing anything, I would sooner expect New York to overturn a decision under those circumstances than if it were somewhere else. Maybe they will, but as far as Ryan, yeah, Ryan will be back in no time, dog. You see, he's fucking laying the groundwork for a Conor McGregor fight. And nobody is so fucking moral in combat sports that they're not going to watch it. They're going to fucking watch it. The fighters are going to make money. Boxing doesn't care about peds. That's why I don't care about peds. I've long maintained that Alicia Baumgartner is far too attractive for me to care if she's on peds. And I don't care. And the fights are good, and I don't give a shit. So, so if the little girls, right, and the little teenagers and the little closet cases, if they like Ryan that much, well, that's the hierarchy of thought that they're going to use. I love you, Rye. You saved the kids. You donated $20 million to the Palestinians. Like, it's going on, dog, so nothing's really going to happen. But I last thing, Ryan is not far removed from Tommy Fury. That's where I file him. That you're not I don't consider you a serious boxer. Like, I view you as more of an influencer than a boxer, so, it is what it is.
Damn. Base, what are your thoughts on this whole Ryan Garcia thing? How are you feeling about it?
Well, I try not to be a hypocrite for the most part. I definitely have a set of rules and regulations, very similar to the Ring IQ pound for pound list. There's rules, and I try to follow them in this kind of scenario. And I'm all about due process, okay? Like, the way I see it, it looked horrendous. I want to wait to hear more. I want to see if they try to sweep it under the rug, or if I hear more about it. But that doesn't mean that I can't have an overall feeling, all right? And at the moment, my overall feeling is very similar to Rings, is that, yes, I believe that there's enough character flaws in Ryan Garcia to believe that he willingly partook in this activity. Everything that we've seen, the whole, the quote unquote trolling mental health and pretending you've got a tick, like making fun or making jokes out of stuff in order to get attention for the fight, intentionally choosing not to honor the contract that you signed and come in overweight. Yes, that does show character flaws and moral questionable ambiguity. So it's quite feasible that I can believe that he did do something. But again, I'm not going to call him dirty until I hear definitively what happens with the B sample, all that other stuff. In terms of what happens to him, I mean, look, if I actually think because he's not like a Anthony Joshua, he's not like a Canelo Alvarez that's a consistent, money spinner in the industry. He's had one big pay-per-view thus far with Gervonta Davis. We don't know what the Devin Haney numbers are yet because they haven't come out. They may look at, okay, he's in that ascendancy, but he's not generating us revenues, monies, like we're not getting sanctioning fees or whatever. He's not playing by those rules, so we've got no real reason to protect him. I think there's a possibility that if everything does come back showing, guilty, they will probably look to make an example of him, especially considering the fact that he said himself, similar to like Jared Anderson, he's looking to be out of the game in the next sort of 2 to 3 years anyway. So he's not going to be around long enough, theoretically, for the game, for the sport, for the business to make its pound of flesh off of him. So I reckon if he does get found guilty, he probably will get a 2-year ban or something like that, maybe. But for him, he'll probably get it in boxing, but he'll go and do some cross promotional stuff. He'll end up getting that Sean O'Malley fight, that Conor McGregor fight. He'll get it under a different outlet, different different license, all that sort of stuff. They'll call it an exhibition or whatever, so he doesn't have to necessarily follow or adhere any specific rules. I think, just because they can't guarantee that they'll make money out of him, I just think he will be one of the ones where they say, okay, well, if we make an example of him, the rest will fall in line and we can carry on keeping this gravy train rolling. That's kind of how I see it, just from a broad perspective. I know Beeb totally disagrees with me, but that's my thoughts and opinions.
It's the New York thing you have to look at that's more, that has my attention. We know that New York is a bit more of a pain in the ass for people in the boxing industry than, say, Nevada or some of the other commissions. New York is a bit of a pain in the ass. And that's probably, it's stricter. So, if somebody were going to try to make an example, well, it would be them if they were.
Yeah, Base. The only reason why I disagree with you, and I with all due respect, is because I've seen other multiple cases where they've given 6-month suspensions for this substance, and he's going to go with the inadvertent use, and it'll probably work. So 2 years is a I don't think.
No, you're not gonna get it. You're not
gonna get it. Not in America. Like if it was in the UK with UCAD, they'll give you 2 years. In America,
they'll give you 4 years in the UK. They gave Zolani Tete. They gave him 4 years.
Ryan should fight in Texas. He should fight in Texas.
Well, what about the Nandrolin, guys? What about it? Now you've got a stack.
Well, it's confirmed. It's confirmed.
Now you have a stack, right?
But look, this is the thing. This is the thing. This is the question I've been asking for a while, and nobody's giving me any answers. Why should I care as a fan anymore? Because VADA,
I don't.
But this is the thing. Like,
shouldn't care.
VADA seems an expensive thing to not net any real results. Like, what is it?
Callie, let's put it this way. Let me
question. I'm sorry, Ren. Let me just get this out real quick. I apologize. Why would you hire someone just to tell you someone's doing something wrong when you know there is no punitive action going to? It's voluntary anti-doping agency.
Beeb, it was listen, Beeb. When they started using VADA, it was a very different landscape. The usage of VADA and the normalizing anti-doping in boxing is what is leading us now to understand these people know what's happening. They only hired VADA in the beginning. They only hired VADA. Let me say this. Let me get this out. They only hired VADA or started using VADA so much many years ago to assign culpability that once it is established, right? We got you, and now we can use that against you. But you're seeing that the sport. Look, Chris Eubank Jr. was going to fight Conor Ben anyway, and he knew he tested positive.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Like, bro, a lot of guys know what's going on. It's really, don't look at VADA the wrong way. It's not their fault. They're just an anti-doping agency that you hire to run tests. They never had teeth. They still don't have teeth.
I don't have a gripe against Margaret. She's a wonderful lady. What I'm saying is, boxing is full of shit when they like. This is just a dog and pony show. When you're hiring somebody and you're not allowing them to investigate or adjudicate, you know why you're doing that is so you have a catch-22 that you don't have to follow and you don't have to go along.
Yeah, but the other thing is that ask yourself a question. Do you think the promoters want to pay out more to anti-doping agencies to provide that kind of a service? No, they don't, because then it becomes more expensive to do shows. And underneath it all, no, there shouldn't even be anti-doping. If you want my honest opinion, there should be no anti-doping.
I agree.
I'm called a monster. I'm called a monster when I say that.
But so let me put it this way. So if Ryan is punished for it and he's suspended for 2 years, would you change your mind and say, okay, you know what, they are doing something about it now?
Well, that would be.
Are you advocating for that, like for that to happen?
My angle. I want to say this. I don't care if Ryan used steroids. That's not even the argument that I've been having. His fans are arguing his innocence. That's the argument I'm having.
Gotcha.
That's what they're arguing. Oh, the win is legitimate. The win is legit. No, he was on steroids. So treat him like you treat someone else because he was on steroids. You can see that. You have a guy, you're arguing the innocence of someone who blew the weight, told you he blew the weight, told you he did it on purpose. He sat there, said he got molested, right? He sat there, like dog. There's just like Bass said, there are enough character flaws here that you can see this is an athlete who believes that he is above the rules. So all I'm saying is he's guilty. Yeah, he's not innocent.
And
he's
I will
guilty.
say this: a lot of the things he's saying sounds to me like, if I get caught, I'll just say, why would I hire them if it just sounds like that was the plan of
Bass said it. He knows. Bass said it. He knows the process. He said he's going up on camera saying, "Oh, why would they let me fight if they knew I pissed hot?" Because they didn't know, and you know that when they took the test the day before and the day of, they're not going to have the results the day before or the day of. You know that.
There's only 2 WADA accredited labs in America. It's in Utah and Los Angeles. And when you're testing for a wide panel, it's not like you're just going in there for a specific standardized test. You're going in there for a wide panel. So that's going to take a long time to come back. Yeah. I think my whole thing is this. I mean, every time someone gets caught, they say outlandish things. Oh, it wasn't even, like Conor Ben said, it wasn't even in the system, whatever. I think that they make themselves look bad and they dig themselves a hole. And then when the lawyers get a hold of them, they tell them to shut up, whatever. And if people have an opinion about it, that's fine. I have an opinion about it, but I don't care enough to try to change someone else's opinion if they believe. If people want, no matter what, once you like, Canelo is going to be called a dirty fighter for the rest of his career. To this day, people still call him dirty, and that's what you're going to have to walk around with for the rest of your life. My only problem with VADA is the difference between them and USADA and UCAD is UCAD and USADA will investigate and they'll conduct an investigation before they go public with things, and then they get criticized for holding on to stuff. But
Beeb, you know that Beeb, you know they don't go public though. They send out correspondence to the affected parties who then leak it to the media. That's how they do it. They send out correspondence. If me and Beeb had a fight, all right, well, they're going to send an email to me and Beeb, and they're going to tell Beeb, hey man, this dude, he tested positive for Osterin, at which point Beeb is going to go to the media or leak it to the media and say, well, look, this is what's going on. You know, they caught him. You know, he's got ABC and D in the system.
What's going to happen, though, Ring, too, is because once both fighters' camps get it, the fighter who did not test positive, obviously they're going to go public with it.
Exactly.
There's
And
no way
that's,
of
but that's the point I'm making. That
But what you found out, the fighters won't get that paperwork until after the investigation is done. UCAD won't give you that paperwork until the investigation's done. So
all I'm saying is if we argue the merits, if we find ourselves arguing the merits of one anti-doping agency versus the other, all I'm saying is you're doing what Ryan wants. It's very simple. It's very simple. Bro, what do you want me to do? You want me to look at everybody that Vada ever caught as being guilty so that you can be as being innocent so that you can be innocent? Because that's what you're saying. You're implicating Vada and Victor Conti as, oh, they sabotaged my test. Well, if I believe you, did they sabotage theirs too? Where does the conspiracy begin and where does it end? I'm not playing that game with you, bro. I'm not going to do that. You're guilty. It's very simple. You're guilty. That's all. I don't care, but you're guilty.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been a great show. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. Subscribe to Basic Kid here on YouTube. Subscribe to Ring IQ, of course, and Calix Boxing 2.0. And if you haven't already subscribed to Ringside Reporter, hit the bell button so you're notified when they go live. And subscribe to the Shoe Shine Boxing here on YouTube to catch Dave do his thing. This is D-Style Boxing. Yeah.
Beeb, you're in no position to talk about performance enhancing drugs because I know that you're on them. I've known for years.
Guilty.
Always known.
So next week,
know what you're up to.
He's on EPOs. There's no doubt about it.
Next week,
that's crazy. That shit.
I need the EPO.
You'll take a stroke taking that shit.
Yeah, look, next week we got it's Fury Usyk preview. That's going to be something.
Surprise pick by me, by the way.
Right?
Surprise pick in that fight.
Surprise. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here. Peace.